I guess the change in my pocket wasn't enough.
Hey ChokLit, how you doing? It's your girl Lola B from the ChokLit Factory. Today we have a special treat for you. Today is going to be our second video album review. The first one we did back in July. It was for Drake's Thank Me Later. This time we've got a special treat. We've got an artist that is just made a really awesome album, and I think you guys are going to love it, and I want to share with you what I thought about the CD. You may have heard of this artist. I hope you've heard of this artist. He is the prolific, the unforgettable Cee-Lo Green, and the album is called The Lady Killer. Now, The Lady Killer is one of many personas of Cee-Lo Green, but this one just might be his best one yet, okay? So let me give you a little bit of background information because I never had any intentions of doing this album review for this artist. It actually was a request from one of our readers, Emma. She has the CD and she said, you gotta listen to this and you have to review it for your blog. So, you know, I had to take her on that, and I had to pick up the CD. Now, I did pick up this CD at HMV on Yonge Street here in Toronto. So that's no download, you know, support. And, you know, I have to say, I started listening to it and I was pleasantly surprised. Now, a little bit about Cee-Lo Green himself as an artist. If you're not too familiar, you probably most recognize him from the group Gnarls Barkley. They released 2 albums. In 2006, they had the hit record Crazy. He basically paired up with Danger Mouse, who's a DJ / producer, and formed the group Gnarls Barkley. They had some mild success, you know, but that's the best to remember him from. Or, of course, all my hip-hop heads and 80s babies will remember Cee-Lo from the group Goody Mob. An Atlanta rap group. They disbanded in 1999 when Cee-Lo decided he wanted to pursue his own solo career. He released 2 albums on Arista Records. They didn't do too well in sales. You know, I'm going to go out on a limb here, but I'm going to say, you know, if you look at someone like Cee-Lo, he's not the most, like, he's no Usher, you know, he doesn't have the abs, you know, he's not no Chris Brown, so he's not the easiest person to market. So I think that maybe has something to do with why his albums didn't sell as well. But I mean, he did 2 albums for Arista. He was dropped, or he left, however that works. And this is his 3rd solo album. He is now with Elektra Records. And you know what? I think this is great. I haven't heard the other 2 albums, so I can't judge, but I can say this one is definitely a good buy. Now, let's talk a little bit about who helped Cee-Lo work with the sound that he's got going on in this album. Now, first of all, the songs on this album, it's a very cohesive album. It's, I would say it surrounds a theme of being in love, being obsessively in love, being around the person you love, and just different kinds of emotions you go through, I would say, and very well-written songs. Some of the production team he works with Bruno Mars's production team, the Smeezingtons. Now, they actually produced, they co-produced his hit record, FU, which you may have heard of. You know, it's a little song that did big numbers and big things. Top 20, it's one of Cee-Lo's, one of his most recognizable songs. It's definitely doing great things for him. It's getting people to recognize who he is. So, again, so that's probably his hit single on the record. But the album itself is chock full of great songs other than that one. Some of my favorites include Cry Baby, Wildflower, Fool for You, let me make sure, I Want You, Bodies. Quite frankly, the whole CD is good, but those are some of the songs that stick out for me. He does work with producer Salam Remy, who you may recognize. He's worked with Jasmine Sullivan, he's worked with Miguel. I think Salam he's also worked with Nas. I think Salam makes great music, and usually if you hear good music, he's involved in some way or another, right? So he He does some vocal production and he does some production on the album, including the intro to the album, in which Cee-Lo boldly states, "What do I do for a living? I do what I want." And that's exactly what he's doing on this album. He also works with a musician called Jack Splash. I actually had to Google, but he is a, hip-hop, funk, punk artist. He has written for Alicia Keys, Jamie Foxx, Jasmine Sullivan. He currently has a single out with Missy Elliott and Jasmine Sullivan, and I think he's looking to release an album next year. So if you're interested in the kind of music you hear off the album, you should check him out, jacksplash.com. Now, I do also want to point out my favorite song on the album is a song called "Fool for You." It's actually featuring Philip Bailey, who I Googled, and that's the right Philip Bailey. He is a former member of Earth, Wind & Fire. I don't really hear his vocals or anything, so I don't really know how he's featured on the song, but check out "Fool for You." I mean, in the lyrics, Cee-Lo's basically saying how in love he is with this woman, and if she ever does anything wrong, he turns it around to make it seem like she's still doing things right, and he's just a hot, messy fool for this woman. And I like that song. I think when I first listened to it, I listened to it like 10 times in a row, which I tend to do till you get sick of it, and I was just like, this is my jam on this song. Cee-Lo's getting it on this song. So, "Fool for You." Check it out. I'm going to put it on the blog so you guys can have a listen to it. So about the album and what influenced him to make the album, Cee-Lo mentioned to Billboard.com that he's influenced by James Bond and Austin Powers, which is a funny thing. Most people say, Marvin Gaye or whatever, but he said those two influences. You can kind of see that on one of the songs, "Love Gun." Now, if you're quick, you'll remember that I premiered "Love Gun" on the ChokLit Factory by a singer called Melanie Thornton from the Pussycat Dolls that Cee-Lo wrote and produced. But he actually decided to take the song back and put it on his own album, and he actually kicked her off the song and sang it with a singer called Lauren Benet, who I do like because she screams a little bit less. So I think it's a kind of a good mix, but you can kind of see the influence in that song. It's some very funkadelic music that is going to be on this album that something you may have heard in the late 60s or early 70s. It's very like funkadelic, R&B, but still a little bit more on the rock side of R&B and pop, of course, as well. So, but it really works. And sometimes I don't like when artists try and reach back in the past and steal a sound and do it, and try and basically recreate that sound. But I don't think Cee-Lo does that, because I think he takes a sound and he really just makes it his own, and it comes across as really natural. So it's win-win all the way around. As far as the lyrics on the album, I wanted to point this out, because nowadays, you turn on the radio and there's lots of hit songs and they're very catchy. A lot of times the lyrics themselves aren't saying a lot of anything, and I'm a fan of songwriting, and I think it's a craft, and sometimes I hear, not to call anybody out, but sometimes you hear like will.i.am songs, and it's just like, oh my god, I love this girl, oh yeah, she makes me feel good, oh baby, oh yeah, and it's just like, this is not lyrics now, come on. I understand they want to make it catchy, but you can still make a catchy song and say something in the song. I really think that Cee-Lo and his team do a good job of that. The lyrics, which he conveniently prints for us in the booklet, I actually think he's saying something. And, in the song again that I mentioned with "Fool for You," he really uses the lyrics, the way he sings them, and the words themselves to express that feeling you have when you're just like, I can't get enough of this person. I'm going crazy. And he does it very well. So I really have to give him kudos to that as well, because they're definitely, him and his team are definitely working hard to make, some solid music, some actual music, make us remember what music is again. So there's my rant on that. But I mean, basically, the whole album is definitely ChokLit approved. It's definitely something you can listen to from start to finish. You won't be skipping songs. You won't be falling asleep. You know, it's a lively album. It's a great listen. Just definitely recommend it. And I really want to know what you guys think. So, you know, if you have the album, you're thinking getting the album, listen to some of the songs that we're gonna have for you to listen to at the end of the video here, well, on the blog itself. And just let me know what you guys think about my review of it, or some things maybe you didn't like about the album, or you do like about the album. Comment on the video or comment on the blog. We're also going to be on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we are on YouTube. ChokLitFactory.com is the name of the blog. So we're going to have more reviews coming up, so make sure you guys have your word, have your piece, say what you guys say, suggestions, whatever you guys say. But make sure you pick up the music, support the music as always, and let me know what you guys think. Much love, chocolate kisses, we out.
Yeah, sorry.